Entrepreneurs pursue opportunities regardless of the resources they possess. What entrepreneurs do is to assemble resources they need, and partnerships is a very important such resource. One type of partner that holds particular interest is large companies. It would seem obvious why large companies and startups would want to partner with each other, because each has something that the other wants. Large companies have scale, resources, reputation that startups aspire for. Startups have creativity, agility, new ideas that big companies would love to have. On paper, it's a match made in heaven. Yet the reality is that the very reasons that make these companies attracted to each other make it difficult for them to build and sustain relationships. From the big company's perspective, the startup poses a big risk. The question in their minds is, will the startup screw up? From the startup's point of view, the big company poses a threat. Will they be taken undue advantage of? In other words, will the big company screw them over? One of the companies and entrepreneurs that I've come across in my research as an academic who has been able to work well with large companies was founded in 2011 in Beijing, a startup called Testing. 2011 was the first year when China's GDP growth rate dipped under 10% after a long period of very fast growth. 2011 was also the year that a little app called WeChat was first launched. 2011 was basically a point in time when China's economic story took a bit of a turning point. About that time, big tech companies in the West seemed to be noticing that something was changing in China, that a new entrepreneurial ecosystem was developing. And so the following year, when Microsoft started a few accelerators, including one in Beijing, and IBM brought their entrepreneurship program to China, Testing was in the first cohort of both of these. Building on the legitimacy that they got from these partners, they then built multiple other partnerships, including with Intel and most crucially ARM, which were an important source of learning about technology that was crucial to their offering. And then they went on to build several other partnerships with corporations in China that provided them with business leads that helped them expand their footprint within app developer communities in China. Companies like Testing give us insight into what it takes to partner successfully with large companies. And the key insight is this: these startups simultaneously have an optimistic, positive approach, and at the same time, a cautious, careful approach. And it's this combination of being proactive yet careful, positive yet watchful, that helps startups pursue 3 steps. In fact, this company has been able to extend that relationship beyond just China into the US as it's established its first overseas office in Shanghai, in San Francisco, I beg your pardon. And so the first of these 3 steps is forming the relationship. Proactiveness is important. To quote the local allies, an intermediary like an accelerator, or maybe local government bodies so important in China, or even the scouting team of the large company to form those links. But at the same time, it's important to ensure that that company is genuinely committed to the relationship, is really serious about doing business, and in fact is the right partner. Having formed the relationship, the next step is consolidating. And this typically involves a genuine win-win opportunity. And here, the startup would do well to focus on an area that it's really good at, because that first project will have a big bearing on how the big company views the startup. And so the corollary of that is it's sometimes important to say no to an opportunity that does not really align with what the startup is really good at, tempting though it may be. And at the same time, the startup needs to be cautious. And one way to do that is to break a project down into modular steps, to modularize the knowledge transfer, to reveal knowledge selectively. Because here's the paradox. A startup needs to show what it's capable of to be attractive to the large company, but if it reveals too much too soon, then it may not be necessary anymore. And so this process of selective revealing is important. Also, if the project gets abandoned midway, then the startup still has something to show for their efforts if they have completed some of those initial steps by following a modular stepwise process. And one of the big attractions of working with a big company is the scope to expand that relationship to other parts of the business, perhaps to engage with other business units, other geographies, as we saw in the case of Tested, which is working with Microsoft in the US. And so holding this apparent contradiction of being both optimistic and cautious is what I have found in over a decade of research as being the key to startups working well with large companies. I would like to end with one more thought. And it is this. Startups and large corporations working together can be a force for good. For example, Unilever have announced that they are working with social enterprises in collaboration with the UK's Department for International Development. And this is important because this can contribute to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. In fact, the last of these goals, SDG 17, is about partnerships for achieving SDGs 1 through 16. And it strikes me that bringing together non-traditional allies is going to be important in this process. Big companies working with startups. For example, the one started by this young man, Randolph Owusu, who's been dubbed the Larry Page of Ghana. His startup, BISA, was part of Bayer's Accelerator in Berlin a few years ago. BISA helps patients access free medical advice through a mobile phone app. And by partnering with Bayer, they have got legitimacy, learning, and leads that help them pursue dual objectives of economic success and social impact. This is an example of how Dancing with Gorillas can contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals. And so, and for entrepreneurs from developing countries, China is going to be a big source of inspiration, and many of them aspire to partner with the likes of Alibaba. So not just dancing with gorillas, but dancing with dragons as well. And so what Dancing with Gorillas is essentially about is bringing together three key mindsets. An entrepreneurial mindset, a collaborative mindset, and a global mindset, and recognizing that we do better when we work together. Thank you very much.